The ring had a will of its own. It wanted to be found. That's not actually a quote from the book, it's in the movie, but it's more relevant to this video because that right there is basically money. Because if Frodo lived in 2026, he wouldn't just walk straight into Mordor. He'd probably call me saying, hey, I inherited this super powerful asset. Everyone around me wants it and I don't know who to trust and starting to ruin my life. And that's not any different from what my clients feel when they suddenly get money, start investing, buy a house or inherit wealth. Because money looks like freedom when it's handled properly, but when handled badly, it starts to become the ring. This isn't a ring, it's a Bitcoin, but use your imagination. And because I'm also a huge Lord of the Ring nerd, today I'm going to show you the 5 money lessons hidden in arguably the greatest fantasy story ever written. And the number 1 lesson is simple. Don't be Frodo. Frodo starts off like most people do with money. Oh, hey, I have something valuable, something powerful. I can handle this for sure, right? But that's the trap that no one tells you about. Because Frodo doesn't lose himself all at once. You can see it, it starts slowly. He carries the ring, protects the ring, hides the ring, and eventually the ring starts making decisions for him. And if Frodo is the warning sign, Gollum is the final form. For Gollum, he doesn't own the ring owns him. Or should I say owned him? He thinks about it constantly, talks to it, sacrifices everything for it. His health, his relationships, his sanity, his future are all gone because of this one thing he can't let go of. One trade-off actually, eternal life. The ring did extend his life, but it kind of gave him an endless withering existence rather than being kept alive and living well. And that's exactly what happened to some of my friends and clients with money. They don't just want financial security, they become obsessed. They check their portfolio every hour, they compare themselves to everyone around them, they chase every stock, they buy themselves an expensive car, or 3 like me. They can't enjoy life because they're always thinking about getting more. And unlike the One Ring, it doesn't extend your life. And this doesn't apply to money. Your precious could be a single stock that you refuse to sell, a car, or 3 that you can't afford, a rental property that's draining you, a business that no longer makes sense, or even just the image of looking rich, which probably most people are guilty of. That's dangerous because once you become emotionally attached, you stop making rational decisions. You don't ask yourself, is this still a good investment? You ask, how do I protect my precious? And that's where most people get wrecked. This is why I always tell my clients, money gives you freedom, options, and peace of mind. So own your money, don't let your money own you. Because there's one thing that even more dangerous than wanting the ring is believing you're strong enough to use it. And that's where we get to lesson 2, the power can corrupt. The One Ring gives people power, but it also corrupts them. That's why even good people are tempted by it. Look at Boromir. He didn't start off evil. He just wants to save his people. He thinks he could use the ring for good, but the problem is the One Ring doesn't care about your intentions. And money can work the same way. A little bit of money can make life easier, but a lot of money without discipline can expose who you really are. I have close friends in their mid-30s who are in extreme financial trouble. After 10 years of living a lavish lifestyle where we all thought they could afford the cars and the house, and then one day they start asking everyone around them for $30,000 to help pay their bills, which is frustrating on my part and embarrassing on their part. They upgrade everything, they take on stupid debt, they start looking down on people, and they confuse net worth with self-worth. And I know it sounds like I'm talking about Alex Hormozy, but I'll save that for another video because my God, I hate that guy. That's why making more money doesn't automatically solve all your problems. If you're bad with $5,000, you'll be bad with $50,000. If you overspend with $80,000 a year, you'll likely overspend at $200,000 a year. I have friends and family members, sadly, who are used to $0 in the bank. It doesn't matter how much they've made, how much they owe. If there's $1 in their bank, they're spending it. There's a weird situation right now with Floyd Mayweather, who was reported to have earned over $1 billion over his boxing career, but he is currently in financial trouble. Because money doesn't fix your habits, it amplifies them. That's why financial discipline matters. Before you become wealthy, not after. You need rules, you need a plan. You need to know what kind of person you want to be before the money gives you more options. Because without discipline, money can turn into ego, and ego is expensive. Again, wow, I know I'm talking about how obnoxious and annoying Alex Hormozy is. Lesson 3, small people can build big results. One of the best parts of The Lord of the Rings is that Middle-earth isn't saved by the strongest warrior or kings or elves or wizards. It's saved by 2 hobbits. And I'd like to argue with everyone in the comments by saying that Samwise Gamgee is the true hero of the story, because Frodo carries the ring, but Sam carries Frodo, don't you think? Anyway, Frodo and Sam are small, they're not rich, they're not special in any traditional sense, but they keep going step by step, day after day, and that is exactly how wealth is usually built. Most people think wealth comes from one big moment or one lucky stock, one perfect trade, a big raise, a business idea, or the inevitable get-rich-quick opportunity. But for most people, wealth is built slowly. Invest every month, avoid lifestyle inflation, stay out of bad debt, increase your income over time, you don't panic when things get ugly. Here's the thing, it's not exciting, but it works. A person who invests consistently for 20 to 30 years can create life-changing wealth even if they never hit a home run investment. That's the Frodo and Sam approach to money. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to predict the market. You don't need to find the next Tesla stock or Nvidia or Bitcoin. You need consistency, because small actions repeated for years compound. And that's how ordinary people can build extraordinary wealth. Which brings us to lesson 4. Choose your fellowship wisely. Speaking of Sam, Frodo never would have made it alone without Sam and Gandalf and Aragorn. He needed the entire fellowship. Okay, maybe not Pippin. And your financial life works the same way. The people around you have a huge impact on how you think about money. If everyone around you is constantly upgrading cars, watches, vacations, clothes, and restaurants, eventually that starts to feel normal and you feel left out. If your friends are gambling on meme stocks, crypto pumps, or options trading that they don't understand, that starts to feel normal too. If everyone is pressuring you and trying to look rich, you feel the pressure to keep up. And that's how people with good income stay broke. Not because they don't make enough money, but because their environment keeps pushing them to spend everything they make. So your circle matters. You want people around you who normalize good financial behavior. Back to my previous example, I had to cut off a close friend of 20 years, because he has this insatiable urge to look rich. And in that case, he thought he was better than everyone else. Well, life eventually caught up to him, and it got to the point where he kept asking me for money and got mad when I started saying no. Like I'm the reason he was now broke and missed his mortgage payment, despite having 2 cars and apparently in a $2 million house that he can't afford. I was being punished by making good decisions and saving cash, and now he wanted me to give him my money. This doesn't mean that you need to cut everyone off, but you need to be aware of who's influencing your decisions. And that's why your fellowship matters, because the people around you can either keep you focused on the life you want or drag you into chasing things you never needed in the first place. Which brings us to lesson number 5. The Shire is the real goal. This might be the most important lesson. At the end of the day, what did the hobbits really want? They don't want kingdoms, power, or endless gold like the dwarves. They don't want to rule Middle-earth. They just want the Shire, a peaceful home, good food, friends, family, community, freedom, a simple life they actually enjoy. And that's the part most people miss about money, and that's the part they forget. The goal is not to die with the biggest portfolio. I actually think that's a failure, in my opinion. The goal is not to impress people on Instagram. The goal is not to work forever just so you can keep buying things that you barely care about. Look, another jab at Hormozy. The goal is to build a life you don't need to escape from. So for some people that means retiring early, which is me. I think I want to retire at 55. For others, it means working less. I actually like working, so this is fine. For some people, it means being able to help their family or travel or spend more time with their kids or quit a job they hate or just sleep peacefully knowing they're not one emergency away from disaster. That's what money is really for. Money should buy peace, money should buy time, money should be the product that you help create the best version of your own Shire. Because if you build wealth but lose your health, your relationships, your values, and your happiness, then what did you actually win? You became rich, but you lost the plot. So those are the 5 money lessons from The Lord of the Rings. Don't let the money own you. Respect the power it has, stay consistent, choose your fellowship wisely, and lastly, remember that the Shire is the real goal. And that's what I mean by don't be Frodo. So don't carry money like a burden or just try to figure it all out alone. Just reach out to me if you want help building a financial plan that actually supports the life you want. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments which money lessons from Lord of the Rings that you can most relate to.